Hello, everybody. It's Thursday. Hey, Ellen. See, this is the time I get a chance to see all these before I start. Welcome, everybody. I see a bunch of folks are coming in. Let's see if our. Oh, the ladies of the hour. There we go.
Well, hello.
Hello.
We're not exactly in a the
I think you
box.
just need to adjust it, yeah, because
How do I adjust that? I don't know who
okay,
said it that.
okay, go to the multi-guest and then there should be a little like a little gear,
Mm-hmm.
and then the little gear it should allow you to change the grid. Ta-da!
Perfect.
There you
We should
go.
make a note on that for creators to move it back, but it works so well for other things. Hey, everybody. How are you two?
Hey, I'm
Hola.
great.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. A couple things. So first of all, because this is relatively live, I'm gonna preempt tomorrow and say, Sherry, happy birthday. And in
Thank you.
honor of your birthday, not only did I make you a special recipe today, I took my family's jardiniere salad, which is a pickled vegetable salad from Italy. I added okra for it, and I've been working with the okra to see how it tasted. And not only did you notice I have dark green on, but
Yes, and I
wait,
noticed there's green in the background. Look at that.
and there's some little bit of green, but I got a little special green for you. Now, folks, bear with me, and we're going to start cooking away. But I want to show Sherry a little special green because Sherry, you're not the only one that can wear leggings.
Whoa, those are green.
I bought a pair of green leggings to honor you today, this week,
Those are
Sherry, okay?
beautiful.
Okay,
I
Sherry,
don't even wear
I'm
this.
green too, but not as
There you
not
go.
as extra.
So I got you leggings so you could feel in the house. I don't even wear this much green for Paul, who's Irish. So
I don't
just
have
to say happy
green.
birthday. And I know it's a big thing, and I wanted to honor it. So welcome everybody to Food Talk TV.
Hey.
You're here at Let's Be Frank. I'm Frank underscore Mentor SF, and I am one of the 10 creators at Food Talk TV who goes live every single day. I do Thursday lunch, and what you're going to see me make is my lunch for the day. I have two recipes, but in the box, I have Sketchy Chef. Trisha goes live actually twice a week. She has a regular live, and then, of course, she is our super uber queen of Grub Match. And then we have Sherry underscore Skinner, who also you will find on alternating Sundays, as well as both of them have their own channels, as well as being hostess at Grub Match, as well as jumping on to a lot of our lives. So today we're going to spend time, we're going to make two recipes.
Okay.
No cooking. Look, no fire on the counter today.
Oh wow.
No,
Okay.
Whoa.
this is two no cook, minimal prep recipes. As a matter of fact, both recipes could be adapted in stuff that you happen to have if it's in the freezer or frozen. But let's start first.
Good.
This is what we're making.
Frank, can I just say hello to everyone who's in here? You have a lot of
Oh,
hi Frank,
please
hi Frank,
do. Hi, everybody.
hi
I'm
Frank,
sorry.
hi
I'm
Val. There's
just far enough away.
a lot of
I'm just far
greetings.
enough
So
away. I
welcome
can't
in
see it.
everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry if I miss you. And I'm so glad that you've come back. So just interrupt me if there's something good and I can't see it.
Okay,
So we're going to make,
I could
it's
do that.
called, oh, good. We're going to make something called jardiniere salad. It's an Italian-American pickles.
Delicious.
Basically, jardiniere means gardener, and it's all of the gardener stuff. So I made a batch, one of many, and this one has been sitting
That's
for
beautiful.
2 days. So you can see what it's supposed to look like when it's done.
Beautiful.
And I'm going to walk you through how to prep it,
Okay.
mix it, and then the recipe's already live online. So you can actually
Oh,
be following
great.
along if you visit us online.
Okay.
The thing about the jardiniere salad, you hear me say this, you're going to hear a lot of us say this over the upcoming months. Recipes are a starting place. Now, yes, is there a traditional jardiniere salad? Yes, there is. Very classic celery, cauliflower, peppers, onion, sometimes fennel. Uh, There's a
Fennel.
bunch. Basically, it's whatever the Italian farmers had, they threw in. But you can use anything you like. Same thing with your seasonings. So use my use my recipe as a starting place, but don't get caught up if you can't get there. So what I did here, let me show you the beautiful. This is everything almost except for the lemon. I just got an abundance of the vegetables that I like. Think in terms
Okay.
of vegetables that are going to have crunch. Okay,
Right.
you're not gonna heat process this, so that you want stuff that's going to stay crunchy. So serrano peppers. By the way, serrano peppers, you can either keep them whole. I did both. But if you're planning to cut them in slices like this, the easiest way to clean these slices out, if you don't want them to be as hot, where did I put it? Because when you go to
You have a
slice the
comment here.
serranos,
Frank, you have a
what's that?
comment from Brandy Shell says recipes are meant to be changed to your liking so many ways. I always say recipes are
Totally.
meant to be broken. And Ellen is making a comment about the Chicago style version of jardinere, which is what I grew up with. I was about to
Yeah,
say
there's
Ellen will know that because that's something prevalent in a lot of cooking in Chicago or like places you go out to eat and stuff. So
yeah. I mean, basically, it's the ubiquitous pickle. I mean, it's just an
yeah,
Italian version of the pickle that regionally is set up. So you can add whatever you want, and it's tart, it's hot, it's spicy, so it goes great as a side dish. But if you're from Louisiana and New Orleans, which created the Italian American sandwich called the muffaletta,
I was gonna
this
say the muffaletta. That's what I yeah.
diced up, if you mince this up, drain it, and put that on, that's what goes a version, but it would have olives in it. They use an olive base,
Okay.
but you can use the same
Okay.
thing. So we got serrano peppers, but I want to show you something. When
Spicy.
you're and I made that mistake this morning of
Don't
spicy,
touch your eyes.
cutting up a few. Yeah, and then I went on a conference call and rubbed my eyes. So
Yeah, that's a no.
big silicone straw right through the
No
center.
way. Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Now,
I
I would
like
say
that.
just do it right in the cutting board. Let me see. Let me move this so you can actually see me do this.
Look, there's lots of green in your menu for Sherry.
It.
Hey, Frank,
Hey,
10-second
yes,
cooking school.
I know. I'm going to do it again just to show you how it's done. You make your slice. Wait, let me move this down so people could see it. Ugh. I want people to see this more. There you go.
Okay.
All right. You take your serrano pepper. You can really do it in any. You can either do it in wheels or angle. It doesn't really matter. You can even keep them whole. I left a bunch of them whole because not everybody wants that much spice. So all you're going to do is take them, take a straw, hold them in your hand, and then just
That is
pop the
so cool.
right
Hello,
through.
Ashton. Hello, positive
And then
happy, positively happy.
just take
Okay.
your straw and just tap it, and you'll get the seeds out. Sometimes you go through once or twice, and then you're gone. But look, they're
That's
ready to
so
go.
It worked.
wow.
Works super easy because
Okay.
in most of these peppers, the heat is actually coming from the seeds and the internal spines. And then, of course, do not try and blow this out because somebody will scare you. You'll probably inhale it. Use a toothpick or a skewer to pop out the insides.
Mm,
All
good.
right. All right. So what you do is you take your vegetables. Now, what I'm using in this vegetable mix is cauliflower pieces. I broke the cauliflower pieces up about like that. I broke it up by hand. Red
Okay.
pepper. I'm going to show you this while I read it.
Okay.
Red pepper, fennel. This is what fennel looks like.
Thank you.
Celery, which if you do not like celery, don't worry. You can omit the texture of celery, but you're going to put celery seed in it anyhow. Um, I put a nub or two of ginger, but I don't
Okay.
dice it because I don't want it doesn't. I didn't want to boil. This isn't going to cook, so that it's not really edible. And okra. Now I couldn't get the Star of David okra, which was my preference, but I went with what
There's
I
the
had
okra,
locally.
Sherry.
And then pickling cucumbers or Persian cucumbers. You don't want
Yes.
big cucumbers because you want them to be just about the same bite. That's what's in here. All right. So what I did is I cut them all up. I filled it with water to cover, I put about an eighth of a cup of kosher salt, okay, into the.
Ashton, he's making the jardinera. That's what he's making. So yes, it's a pickling.
It's a quick. Oops. What did I do? There we go. It's a quick pickle, but you're going to let it finish the pickling overnight. It's not. This is not a pickling dish that you can keep for months and months. You could. There are versions you can find that will heat process. This is you can make this after you go to the farmer's market. If you're gardening, it'll be ready by the next day. Do this before bed. Cover it with water, about an eighth. I would say it's anywhere from about a half a cup of sugar, kosher sugar. I'm sorry, kosher salt. Put it in there. Cover
I
this.
was
Now
like,
this is where I
sugar.
use. This is where I use my sealable container. Fill it with the water. The water wants to cover it. Use your hands. Just mix it up a little. Let it set overnight. The salt, the brine, what that's going to do is help keep them crunchy, but also draw out some extra liquid. When you're ready to do this the next day, strain them in your strainer. Then let them sit over the bucket so you get all of the liquid out. All right.
Okay.
You don't need to make them bone dry, but you want all of that salty water out of there.
Okay.
All right. Then clean jars. I use the glass jars with the lids because I have some friends who like this. I'll make some as gifts. I also will be making a set to go in here. If you have a traditional pickle jar, you could do that. You could even use, plastic containers with lids, although glass is what's often recommended.
Okay.
All right, so what goes in the jar then? This is my spice mixture. And I actually mix up a bunch and then I just take it out as I need it. In my spice mixture, it's pretty basic for me. I have dried oregano, red pepper flakes, celery seeds. I use Szechuan peppercorns, but you can use black peppercorns, mustard seeds, and fennel seeds. You have other seasoning you like? Throw it in. Doesn't really matter. It's whatever flavors, anything you like. Mix it up.
Kitchen. Hola.
Hey there. So I take to a jar about this size. This will fill probably both of these two jars. What I have here. So I put in my first tablespoon of my seasoning, and then all you're going to do is gently ladle it in. Now, because I want to do the pickling with my longer vegetables that I did not cut up, I try to put those in layers so that they take up space. Now, remember, I can be a bull in a china cabinet some days, so I have to work a little bit delicately, move things around so that it does take up space, but I don't want any big holes. So sometimes you have to, get in there with a skewer and reorient, what size vegetables are there. Plus, I want it to look pretty on the outside too. I also that's what I did. I put carrots in mine too. That's what I did forget. And the cucumbers.
That's so colorful.
It is. That's why I've always liked the jardiniere salad is because it is so colorful. And I like all the richness of the flavors. Then I take another, about a tablespoon, a little bit less, of the seasoning mix, and I just sprinkle it all in. And I just want to use my hand. I'm just going to coat it. Now, I tell you, there's another way to do this. You can also just take all of your vegetables, put them in a dry bowl. Throw the vegetables in, then take your seasoning, throw them in the bowl, put rubber gloves on in case you're sensitive to garlic and hot pepper, and then just manually massage them in. But I find that just messes another bowl when I can do it this way, because now the next step of this is vinegar.
Okay.
How long will this keep?
Up to a week. So it will take about
long, right? If it even
lasts that long, totally. So I know just from experience how much it takes. I use about a cup and a half of white vinegar Don't use red vinegar because you know what? You'll turn it pink.
Oh,
So you don't want to put red vinegar unless you want your whiter vegetables to go pink.
pink.
And then you
That might be
add
pretty.
about a cup of a good olive oil. It doesn't have to be super expensive olive oil, but a good olive oil.
That is so colorful.
Yeah,
It's even
this,
matching
you
your.
know, I
It's even
love
matching
this.
your
I love
cloth.
it does. I love this recipe because it is perfect for snacking. Somebody drops by, it's cocktail hour, and they've dropped over. You want to have something, you know, I would take the vegetables out of the brine, you know, the oil marinade right now, and then I would put them in a plate with some
Okay.
other things to nosh on. They're great as how I'm going to use it later to put in salads. You could mince this up with your choppers and add it to whatever flavoring seasonings you want. It's totally flexible,
Mm.
but it's a great. Um, I mean, if you heat process this, if you like heated the vinegar or you ran this through your heat processing, you could keep this longer. You could even do a shelf stable version, totally. So
Okay.
all I did is about a cup and a half of white vinegar, about a cup of olive oil. I topped it off with more white vinegar just simply because I want to get it. Um, I want all the vegetables to be covered. I'm going to seal it. Now this goes in the refrigerator. I give it a little twist, and this will go
Beautiful.
in
It
the
looks so pretty.
refrigerator about I would say 2 days. But in reality, you can get away. You could use it sooner.
Rhonda wants to know, what about adding pickling season?
Well, you could, but here's my thing, and other creators will tell you, I'm not a big fan of prepackaged seasoning mixes because I can't control it. Some of the pickling seasoning may or may not have salt. If you notice, I don't add any salt to this. And pickling seasoning, if you like it and it's one you've worked with before, sure. But I also think not everybody has pickling seasoning. You're making your own pickling seasoning with the almost very common seasonings you might have at home. So yes, you could probably use pickling seasoning. I don't think there's a reason not to. If it's one that you've tried before and you like, that would be the caveat. Now, I had last night a leftover red onion, and I like, but the only thing I sliced thin is the red onions because I wanted them to sort of almost melt because there's something nice about a briny red onion. Uh, Either eat by itself because there's something nice about a briny red onion. Uh, Either eat by itself, it takes off some of the bite to it. All right, so you're watching me. Literally, I am making two in the same time. I do have the little piece of ginger. It's still in there.
Well, you know what? Rhonda says the only reason I say that is I bought some to make sour braten.
You know what? Then
She already has
it's
it.
probably yeah. I mean, I would say totally makes sense. Try it if you've got it, and you know, it's sort of like I since I cook a lot of poultry all year round. I always have a poultry mix. But if you're not going to use your pickling brine for anything, your seasoning, use it. Also, put 1 to 2 bay leaves in your mix. I should have put one in earlier in here,
That's
but this is
too.
where the aromatic of the bay leaf is great. But again, I usually put a small one and a larger one. I don't put two huge ones. That's not my preference. And then you get all these bay leaves. If you don't use them, put them in a double bag, Ziploc bag, and throw them in the freezer, and they're good to go. You can
Hey.
freeze bay leaves.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Cass.
All right, so I'm making my second jar of pickles. It's about a cup and a half of vinegar. All right, just with the salty brine, you don't need to add any salt because after you rinse all this, there's still a little bit of salty flavor to the vegetables. So you really want to rinse them super well.
Okay.
And there you go. Now we have two pickled. Now these will go back in the refrigerator. or if you happen to live anywhere where it's cold outside in the shade, I'll add some more olive oil to this in the outside in the shade. I'll add some more olive oil to this in the later on before I'm finished with it. Takes about a day, 2 days. I think after 24 hours, you can eat them. I mean, it's really the longer you keep them, the more pickled they get and flavored they get. Yeah. So it's not that they're bad if you eat them too soon. And then every day I try to give them a little gentle mix. You don't like this much brine in it? Guess what? Don't put so much brine in it. Use 1 tablespoon. Totally up to you. All right, so I have 3 that I made from that event. That recipe that is posted will make about 3 of these this size. All right.
So it looks like you have 1 for you, 1 for me, and 1 for Sherry.
You know,
that's what I'm looking at.
If I make another batch and I heat process it, you'll get it, because then I make sure you'll be able to eat it. So let's do the second salad. So there's a story on this salad. When I was growing up, my dad was a police officer, and later in life he became the director of our local animal shelter, which the police department took over, and he became the director. We didn't do a lot together for obvious reasons, I think, culturally. But one of the things that we did when we spent time, my dad was somewhat like me. He was, in a lot of ways, we were much alike. But wasn't very chatty all the time. He didn't until he was. They always called him Sonny. They never called him by his first name, Frank. He was friendly, but he didn't always go out to socialize. But he loved to have people in. He always wanted to entertain people in. Saturday and Sundays were the only time that he and I spent any time together, because I would go to work with him at the animal shelter. And this is a salad that he made me, his version, but there are other versions. And it's a tuna salad, and I call it my dad's shelter tuna salad, because on Saturdays we would have this, and on Sundays we would have Dinty Moore stew with fresh, hot Italian bread we picked up on the way to work. So this is the salad that we would eat growing up with him. So when I think about the memories of my dad and this salad are always tied together. So the first thing that's going to be a little different, unlike a regular tuna salad, this does not have mayonnaise in it. And yes, I know people were bitching and moaning years ago not to use tuna fish in oil. This uses Italian style tuna fish packed in oil, not water. You open up your can, and I have 2 different styles here, but this one's a little bit nicer because I thought you're going to see this element of oil on the top. Now, yes, I am going to be adding oil to the recipe, but the oil that this has been sitting in is really fishy.
Okay.
So I don't recommend you use that oil, because I think it will overpower your dish. You don't want it you want to be able to taste, you want to taste a bunch of things, but if you use the tuna fish that has oil in it and you use that oil, it's sort of going to overpower the dish to too fishy, if you can have a too fishy tuna salad. Mm-hmm. And you just put it in the bowl, but do not roughhouse, because you want to flake, because you want chunks. All right.
Frank,
go ahead.
Chris said something's fishy, and Tammy Jenks said I had tuna salad for lunch. So.
I love this tuna salad because I can use it for a multiple of ways. But yeah, see, tuna. I think a lot of us grew up with tuna salad. All right.
I did.
What goes next in the tuna salad? Any kind of bean you want. We used garbanzo beans, so these are rinsed 3 times. I rinsed these 3 times in cold running water, but I put them back in the can so that I didn't have to dirty a new one. So it's tuna salad, garbanzo beans.
I've never heard of putting beans in it.
Me either.
Why not?
Interesting.
Well, interesting because, if you take a garbanzo bean and you mash it with a fork, here, let me show you. It's another cooking school for somebody. If you take a garbanzo bean and you mash it, It looks just like tuna fish. And if you add some seasonings like curry and some other, it will give you that flavor of a tuna if you're not eating fish. All right, so I've got
I
my
actually
garbanzo. I
make a
got
garbanzo bean salad, Frank. I
Yep.
make and I can place up tuna. I make a garbanzo bean like a salad. Yeah, chickpea
Yeah.
salad, and I eat it on a
So then,
sandwich, and it's delicious. There you
totally,
go. The righteous kitchen said it for me that I was gonna not say that word, but it's a vegan tuna replacement. Yes, it is.
it often is. And I tried it years ago, and I was like, "Oh, I like this." So I put some green onion in it, some scallion, some green onion. Also, I forgot to say this earlier. When you are working with celery, these are edible. The leaves are edible.
Oh
You could
yes,
tuck the leaves in
add them
the
in.
pickles, would be fine.
Frank,
Um,
Frank, I got to tell you something. Moses said
what's
if
that?
he adds corn to this, I'm using it for this week's competition to beat Sketchy.
I
That's the
cannot
best.
account for that. But you know what? You could use corn. There would be no reason you cannot use that. You can't use the corn in this. All right. So what I'm going to do though is I save these a little bit of celery. Since I have them, I'm going to throw them in this because we those of us that are here at the house today like celery, and it just gives a little extra flavor. But you could have just as easily put this in the whole leaves more as a garnish. Same thing with the fennel. If it has those little wispy leaves, you could have thrown them in too.
I always use
In
the
the
celery leaves. They add
Oh
just
yeah,
like a little bit of cuteness depending what you're making. Yeah. There you
same
go.
thing with the fennel leaves. You could have just taken a clip of this. Like maybe I'll
Uh-huh.
just take one to show you, and open it up, throw it in,
Yes.
make sure
Oh,
it's
see it,
tucked
and it
in,
looks so
and
pretty. Yeah.
it looks pretty, but it also just
Add a
adds
little flavor. Yeah.
a little fresh
Uh-huh.
flavor. All right, so into this salad now we've got
Bronze. Yes,
um,
that's right.
the fronds. Yes, actually, I use that on the recipe because it's ready to go.
That's
So
correct.
I've got my cans of tuna, and I usually use one green onion per can. Sometimes it depends on the size. You just want a green onion that you have. If you don't have onions, use scallions. If you have white onions, use white onions. If you have pickled onions, pickled red onions, drain them, dice them, throw them in. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to get some black pepper and olive oil. Red wine vinegar. So now I'm switching and I'm telling you, use red wine vinegar. This is when you want to use your red wine vinegar. And I usually start this one at about a quarter cup. You can eyeball this. It really depends on how much vinegar you like. I'm going to put
Okay.
a little bit more. And then, all right, here's another hint, by the way, folks. When you buy your lemons, if you leave your tag on it, it's your signal you did not wash them. So when I buy lemons at the house, if I'm in a hurry, when I wash my fruits and vegetables, I take the stickers off. If the sticker's still on it, it's not washed. Because we have
Smart.
multiple people here, and sometimes I often do not have the time to, I'll go run out for, groceries, and then if somebody else will put them away for me, and I forget that, and I realize, oh, I didn't wash them. So you have to take a lemon, and you're going to just make 4 or 5 thin slices, about half of the lemon, and put those aside. Take out some seeds, holding it. I don't have the squeezer. I'm just doing it upside down so I
Okay.
can catch the seeds. About the juice of a half a lemon with the red wine vinegar.
He's trying to show us how strong he is.
I know.
No, I just happen to have really good lemons right now.
Mm.
These are going to go on the next piece there. I'm going to take that off. Perfect. So
I'm
I've
gonna
got
be
here
making this.
very basic salad, but no mayonnaise. Take your Now you could use dried, and I will tell you, my dad often used dried herbs in this recipe because it's in a working kitchen. It wasn't like and back in the day we didn't have the farmers market, and so he would often, my poor mother, he would go. We'd leave the house about 6 in the morning to get to work, and he would go in her refrigerator and he would take fresh parsley if she had any, and then forget to tell her because we didn't have. It wasn't a era of cell phones where you would text him. So she wouldn't think, and then she'd be going to make dinner that night, and she'd be swearing up a blue streak. Why? Because he took stuff from the cabinet that she was planning to use. But on days when we are just in a hurry, we didn't do that.
Sounds
He
like a
would just use
typical
dried.
home, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I mean, just in my family's home, he cooked, so did she.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing here is you could use dried parsley or fresh parsley. I have fresh parsley. Could you use cilantro? I would imagine so. We didn't eat
Mm-mm.
cilantro. My mother hated it. It wasn't something in the East Coast that we ever ate, except for when I was out in restaurants that had it. But my mother hated it. She doesn't. It's one of those folks who can't stand it. So it
Well,
never was on any of our menus.
Rhonda said that it totally reminds her of tuna salad in Spain.
That, and that's why I call it. But this is very much a Mediterranean style, Italian, Spanish. Any place that has a lot of seafood and olive oil is likely to make a version with their local vinegars because it's a fresh version. All
Right.
right. So I have parsley. I'm looking to see how much vinegar is on the bottom there. That looks good. I don't need to put any salt in it. I'm just making sure. Now, this doesn't need olive oil at all. Totally doesn't need it. But if you happen to have some extra garlic cloves from the night before that you added a little olive oil to,
Boy, I always have
guess
garlic.
what?
I know, Sherry. I
Well,
was gonna say.
yeah, well, you know what? I had a little bit of olive oil. I had some garlic cloves left over last night that I did not want to, that I had already peeled. So I just took my garlic, and since I knew I was going to be able to use them in my pickling, and now these pickles will get pickled. I mean
We'll
those
have to go.
garlic will go into my pickled garlic. Yep. And now all I have to do is add a little bit more, and I'm set. All right. So I'm reserving my leftover garnishes here for a minute. Why don't we talk about? Can you guys want to talk about Grub Match and our 10-second cooking school opportunities and food talk where they can find us while I set up for the plating?
Sure.
Well,
You want me to go, Sherry?
Well, tell about Grub Match for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Well, okay. So Grub Matches, I'm sure a lot of you know that we have the only live cooking competition show on TikTok, right? And so next week I will be going up against one of our very own, Moses the Chef God. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you'll join us there. Okay. Now we need you guys really. I'm serious to follow us on YouTube where it's replayed, and also tell everybody about Grub Match. We're looking for competitors. Anybody can go to grubmatch.tv to send in their audition tape. Okay.
How
So
about that Chef
we would love if you
Streetery
would
guy?
do that.
What do you think
The who?
about Chef Streetery? We ought to head him over to
You know,
foodtalktv.com.
I've been
Righteous
trying to get him.
Kitchen.
I've been trying, but I don't know. He's a busy guy.
I know. And the Righteous Kitchen. We got some cooking people in here that
People. Yeah,
don't.
exactly.
She's not really as scary as she seems. Listen, we also are looking for people who want to get in on the 10-second cooking schools. You can go and I think it's up on the website, foodtalktv.com, of the what we want from you if you want to do one, because they are kind of fun. And I had people telling me this morning at church just how much they've learned. They didn't know how to know if their yeast was okay and their baking powder and all that. So if you've got a tip, share it with us because we all want to know, right?
I
Exactly.
agree. I agree.
All right. So
I
please
just got to catch
follow.
up on mine.
So please follow foodtalktv.com. You can go in there and there's a band up at the top. with all the creators and their videos, and you can just go through there and look us over, and you're bound to like one of us. I think you'll like all of us because we're totally delightful.
Okay, wait a minute, Sherry. You know what we forgot to say is if they do make a 10-second, if any of you all make a 10-second cooking school video and you follow Food Talk, use the hashtag 10-second cooking school, make sure your video is 14 seconds or less. We will feature your video on Food Talk TV so everyone can see it.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes. Well, that's why I sent them to the website because it has all
There
the
you go.
rules typed up there. So do
There you
that.
go. There you go.
Yes. And there's also a cooking club that they get together on Wednesday night and cook via, what's it called?
Zoom.
Zoom, yes. Zoom. So you can tell I'm 66. Through Zoom, and you can also watch it on TikTok, foodtalktv.com, if you have a subscription. So I would sign up for the cooking school classes, is what I do. Then you get to cook with them, and if you don't know what to do, somebody will say, put some whatever in it. They'll help you learn to cook. I've learned so many things from them. No joke.
All right. So what I've been doing while we were doing our recap, I added some oregano. You could also do Italian if you have packaged Italian seasoning. I just added oregano, and because I might have had a little extra time last night, I went and roasted some red peppers. Now, I love roasted red peppers, and yes, I am including some of the burnt pieces on it. When you roast your peppers, you peel them, but don't take off every little speck of black. It's good. It adds flavor. I then added mine into some, because I knew I'm going to use them. I added into my own brine, which is a lemon vinegar sauce, which is just to keep them. That jar you saw me use will last me only a few days because we eat peppers and everything, and I eat them in bread all the time. But so all I did is I had larger ones. I had long slices because I made it with pasta, and I just made them a little bit smaller now because I'm going to add them to the tuna. And I'm just gently mixing this together because I want everything to get a little bit of the dressing and be incorporated, but I'm trying not to mash it.
Right.
All right. So this is, let me wipe my hands because I have oil on them.
I was going to say, if you can pull up, there you go, a little bit back. We can't see it. Oh, gorgeous.
And you'll notice it's not swimming in olive oil. What I would do is I do think it needs, I'm swimming in red wine vinegar. When my dad would make this, he definitely went heavy on the red wine vinegar. But it's okay because there's a reason why. But I like to do the whole one, then add more because if you do too much right on, then you won't really know.
You can't take it out.
If it's you could drain it, but it's a pain in the ass, quite frankly. All right. So how would I eat this growing up? Well, there were
That's what I'm waiting
different
for.
ways my father would make this.
That's what I'm waiting for.
Let's do it.
All right. So, I'm a growing kid. I'm hungry. We would stop and pick up an Italian bread, but you can use a sourdough. You want something that's got a little bit of a crust to it.
A crunch.
And a little crunch. Now, for those of you who come from any cuisine that is a dunking cuisine, they're a dipping cuisine. I call that cultures that like to use their hands. So this is that perfect style of cooking because this salad, normally when we grow up, I can remember my grandfather, my mother would put salad in all the plates and then he would take his Italian bread and he would dip it into the remnants of the salad dressing because he loved to dip. He dipped in sauce and gravy, but I still to this day love to dip in salad dressing. The same equivalent here. So what I did is how he would serve this is in a sandwich, but instead of adding oil to this, he would actually take a little bit of olive oil and put it on the bread.
Okay, since you're doing that, Frank, Ellen says, can you speak to your recommendations buying olive oil for this tuna salad versus, I don't know if this is the right word, stove, but I think just what do you recommend your olive oil for this?
Either an extra virgin olive oil. You want an olive oil that has some flavor. You don't want it so thin, like a sunflower oil. You don't want, but you want an olive oil that's got a little bit of olive flavor because it's going to only be on the in the marinated salads. It blends, so you can go your standard olive oil. An extra EVOO, the extra virgin, is sort of wasted in the pickling. On this, a nice quality one makes total sense because you're gonna taste it.
I
Oh,
think she's
versus
wanting to
heating.
know about heating.
Versus heating. I know some of the ones that I buy will say like for salads, and some will say for cooking, like
No,
I don't
well,
know.
olive oil in general is when I cook with olive oil, it's usually a quick. Now remember,
Like a saute, right?
sunflower, yeah, sunflower, corn oil. They have a higher cooking temperature, so they burn less. So if and the more you cook an oil, the less it's going to have the flavor. So I'll use an EVA oil if I'm coating something and I want that flavor. A quick something quick. If I really want the flavor, it's what I'll drizzle on top. But lately, I'm going to use an oil that's not going to burn quicker. So I'll use a higher temperature regular oil, which would be like canola, vegetable oil, or sunflower oil, any of those.
Well,
But there are, what's that?
Kaz did a 10-second cooking school about Evo versus salad. I mean, like vegetable oil, sizzle, drizzle, not sizzle, or one's for drizzle, one's for sizzle. There you go.
Well, yeah, I think that is definitely makes sense. If a recipe calls for a drizzle or a topping, you want a strongly flavored oil, which would be your olive oil. If it's a cooking, but I do cook. Italians cook with olive oil. We just know that we might not use the extra virgin. We'll use a regular pressed oil, and you can tell from the how green it is. Often makes the difference.
Ooh, I love
All
olive
right,
oil.
which one?
Wow, the Righteous
Avocado.
Kitchen says Star puts recommendations. I was a panelist at Star when they did that. That's the Righteous Kitchen. Wow.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, panelist.
All right, so this is how we would eat it. It would be
That looks
on the bread.
beautiful.
The olive oil in this only shows up
Wow. Okay.
in on the bread itself, but I'm trying to make my plate a little bit. This wasn't the plate I was planning to use because when I was a kid, my father was not necessarily worrying. He just needed to get me fed.
The writing is right in there, so I hope you're
I
going
was
to.
I am going to pull that up in 1 second. Yep.
All right. Because
that
it
looks
It's
looks
so
more
good.
about
beautiful.
this one thing about this recipe is, you got tuna, and when you got tuna and oil and seafood, it's going to smell if it gets everywhere. And if you have a dog, they're going to be licking it up, which isn't a bad thing. All right, let me show you what this now looks like. Make sure I didn't forget anything. I think
Oh,
that's
Rhonda says
everything,
with a
folks.
pickle on the side. That's exactly how it was made in Spain. Yum.
We're getting there. This is more or less how my dad would serve this. He would just take the hot Italian bread, drizzle it with olive oil, and then throw the tuna salad on top, and that's what we would eat.
That looks beautiful.
Now,
Beautiful.
let me show you an alternative way to eat this.
Oh, Andrea's here. She says, hi, Frank.
Hey there.
Y'all, please tap the screens and share the live out. And
Me
follow Food
too,
Talk.
Righteous Kitchen. I'm going to make this too. I'm sorry, Sherry.
I was just saying, please follow Food Talk TV so you'll know when we're here.
Yes. All right, I'm going to show you on my cutting board how I would also serve this. If I were going to make this for a party, or I have company coming over and I needed a quick meal, and this will show you how it all comes together. Take my tuna salad, try and drain out as much of the liquid as you can, put it in a little bowl. drain it some more. And I put it on my cutting board or a plate.
This is sort of like ceviche in a little way.
In
It
a,
reminds
you know what? It is in a lot of ways. You're basically going to do it that way. Now I'm going to take the one I made last night, and I would just take out some of these pickling
that's just making
vegetables.
my mouth water.
I know. Oh my goodness.
I have found that even people now you can buy this. It's actually people often ask me, can you can buy this commercially made? It's usually in the pickle. It's where the pickles usually are and vegetables usually are. All right, so I've got my there, and when we would serve this, if you go to a restaurant, how would they serve this? Then they might add some fresh figs. Let me see if I can switch sides so you could see it.
Oh, it's so pretty.
Get some fresh figs on the plate, maybe a pear.
Hmm. I love
Like that.
pear.
I do too. And then this pickling goes really well with a good Italian cheese. So I'm using an Asiago here.
Oh,
You could
wow.
use a ricotta insalata, but you know the reality is use whatever cheese you like.
And
And
that's
I
so
forgot one little thing, and I'm going to add it right now, real quick. Take a hard-boiled egg.
Hmm.
Give it a quick dice. If you've got your chopper, this is fine. I don't have one of those. I don't plan to. It's just like doesn't take. It takes up too much space for me to. I'd rather have other kinds of
Gadgets.
gadgets. Yes, and I do like my gadgets, but I
Me too.
limited space. Now in the salad, I'm gonna put some over here because I did
Insane.
forget that.
Oh, I haven't
Put a
seen
little
any.
bit of egg on top of your tuna this way. You could even serve the egg on the side, just cut. Would have been totally fine too. I just forgot to do it. I'll do another one though for you to see your differences.
yeah.
So if you were
Insane
just going to
Angel says
serve,
always so beautiful, Frank.
thank you. All right. So now this is how you would serve this.
So pretty. That looks like you're on vacation. And they
And
serve you
remember,
those
when
Yeah,
you're
it
french
does.
fries,
getting good
right?
bread, you never cut your bread. You just take a hunk off.
Tear
So
it.
this
Okay.
is how I would serve this if I were going to do this at a dinner party. Whoops. Maybe not
One
drop it,
jumps
but
off.
Minus that fig. Mm.
Oh, that's so beautiful. It really
So this
is.
is how I would serve this at a party, and you can snack. I would put a little spoon in here so that you could put this. If you had breadsticks or crackers, people would put the tuna on that. That's how you could serve this. So I went from dinner party to fast lunch with the same two recipes.
Right.
So this is the kind of dish where if you had this in your kitchen and somebody stopped by, you don't have to feel like I don't have anything to serve them. Yeah, you do. You got plenty.
Right. Well, the Righteous Kitchen says she'd pay $20, so you need to start selling that stuff.
That's so pretty.
This is what I ate growing up. I mean, this is
Oh,
just
it
my
looks
simple foods that
beautiful.
my dad would, put a little sprinkle of the green stuff.
Sometimes the
Make,
simpler things are the more beautiful and flavorful they are as well,
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, and this hits all of the right spots. It hits the tart. It hits the I didn't you could put sugar. I don't put sugar in it, but what I want to do is I'm going to taste a piece of okra
Yeah. For my
In
birthday.
honor of Sherry.
in honor of Sherry. But wait a minute. Where did
Cass
I
said
put?
beautiful.
I even got green napkins.
Wow.
So I'm grabbing a piece of okra because it's drippy,
I'm
not the
using my green
serrano.
cup. Oh, there we go.
Oh my. They're not slimy. They're crunchy. They
Mm.
have all of the flavors to them. They're not overpowering in a way that's like, ugh. So if you've got a prejudice about okra, throw it away.
Yay!
There are
I have
lots
a
of ways that
prejudice,
you,
but I've never had them pickled.
Hey,
I'm telling you,
Gracie, let me tell Gracie right quick. If you will go to Food Talk TV, it's spelled just like in the upper left hand corner. The recipe, all the recipes that he's made is on the website right now. And you can just type it in, Frank's tuna salad, and it'll pop up.
yeah, the tuna salad will be going up, I think, right after this because it's in. I just didn't have a photograph. The jardiniere is already up.
Okay. Hmm.
So this is how you could take now. Could you make this with canned vegetables? Probably not. I think this is these jardiniere salads are perfect when you get a good price on vegetables or you have vegetables that you're afraid are going to go bad before you can actually use them. Or, what I do is I love making it this way. And I actually bought on Amazon bottles like this because they have a cover. And I'll buy these, and if I'm going to a picnic, I'll actually use these and I'll stuff them. Then I don't even have to have people scoop it. They just take one and add it to their plate, and they can go do their thing. And then they can either take it home, or especially if I go to a work buffet, or I take them back later and I wash them. But this, so I don't have to have constantly, especially during COVID, people were more concerned about sharing foods and stuff. Works out great. They're great gifts. They're really easy. The tuna salad, not everybody likes mayonnaise, so it's a great non-mayonnaise based tuna salad. You could swap it out completely for garbanzo beans. You could use canned salmon. You can use anything, and it'd work the same way.
Okay.
All right. Well, this
Beautiful.
is my family recipes from my childhood this weekend, with a special recipe to honor Sherry for her birthday is pickling the okra into
Thank
kind of that
you.
same but different. Oh, I know you know what else would go good on this? I pulled them out and I forgot to add them. You've got sharp flavors, then you need a counterpoint because it's all about balance. Dried figs. You have fresh figs, and I have some dried apricots. Remember, oftentimes when you're making a plate like this, you want a balance of flavors and textures. So I've got soft, I've got sharp, I've got umami, I've got deepness. You've got the fresh figs, I got the sweetness of the pear. All of those, it changes how you're eating. This as a plate, I would probably buy in a restaurant, just like that. I love to buy plates like this when I go out to dinner. The
Beautiful.
other option that you could serve it with, if you didn't want to do it this way or this way, the third option, just before we've got a couple minutes, is take some arugula, put it in a plate, just like that. And I like arugula for this salad because it's a little peppery.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
So now somebody who's saying that's not enough food for me, give them some arugula. Have I had it with any salads that were in the house? Oh yeah. Just like this.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Take your
It
pickles.
is. Any way you plate that salad, it just looks gorgeous.
This whole table just looks
Get a
like
couple pickles on here.
Right?
out of a
So there's the alternate way to serve this.
Beautiful. That whole table, Sherry, looks like we're on vacation.
I know. I'm ready to go to this vacation.
We're on vacation. Yeah. Waiting for
And
someone
it's so
to feed
funny
the
because these may look like
Uh-huh.
vacation to you, but for me, this is just, this was my Saturday lunch with my dad.
Gorgeous.
Wow.
All right, everybody. Thank you. I'm so glad you're with us. We'll see you again next week. Sherry, happy birthday. Trisha, thanks for being, and all the Food Talk creators who dropped in, as well as all of you who have become regulars on Thursday. Have a good holiday. If you celebrate St. Patrick's Day, enjoy your time, but please, no drinking and driving. I don't want to hear we've lost anybody come Monday.
Same. Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome. Everybody go ahead and follow. Check out the website. If you're not, don't forget we got Grub Match. We've got 10-Second Cooking School. We've got Cooking Club and all of our creators.
Right. Yes.
All
Follow
right.
us.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.